All right. Hey YouTube, I'm Lucky, and I'm very excited to bring you this video. I'm going to be doing a complete ranking, a complete tier list of all snipers inside Destiny 2 right now that are not Sunset. And it took me several days to actually come together and bring this video. I wanted to get the opinions of all my friends who are very good snipers, got the opinions of Roxley, Gold Eagle, and Dwayne. Make sure that everything I got was as accurate as possible, especially when it comes to grinding for these God-rolled legendary snipers. And we're also going to rank the exotic snipers that are currently in the game. So without further ado, let's get to ranking these bad boys. And this is obviously all for PvP. If this video gets 3,000 likes, I'll make another one for PvE, because obviously that is an entirely different category. You definitely don't want to mix the two up. So starting in alphabetical order, we'll go with the Adored. Now the Adored is a 90 RPM sniper, and it does come with, like, you get snapshot and killing wind on this thing. Super good sniper. And one other thing that we'll definitely need to talk about when it comes to snipers regularly in this video is we'll have to talk about the zoom on these weapons, because that's one of the most important aspects. Some snipers you might think are good, they might have good rolls on them, but the zoom is terrible, and you want to have as low zoom as possible so that way you can see as much as possible. The higher the zoom, the more it's like you're looking through a telescope. You're not going to get that range you're looking for when you're trying to scope in on a sniper. So the Adored has a 45 zoom, which is definitely respectable for a 90 RPM. And the roll it gets on it is very strong. And we're actually going to put the Adored in the S tier of snipers. Extremely easily accessible and definitely an S tier weapon, especially in PvP. So that'll be the first one we'll go over. The next one will be quite the opposite, though. We're going to talk about the Apostate sniper. Now, the Apostate is the higher RPM, so it's a 140 RPM. This thing spams a bunch of shots, and currently in the game, you can't even two-body shot with one of these. And this roll doesn't have the best perk on it, which is snapshot. You actually can't get a snapshot roll of this. It used to have quick draw, or it does have quick draw, which would give you essentially the similar effect as snapshot. And so the Apostate wasn't half bad if you could get like a quick draw killing wind roll. But now that it doesn't have snapshot anymore, and it's a 140, this thing is absolutely terrible, unfortunately. And it does have a 40 zoom, so it has that nice, like, these 140 RPMs have like some of the best or lowest zoom, so some of the best zoom for PvP rather. But unfortunately, I'm gonna have to put this all the way down in the D tier category for PvP. No snapshot, and you're using a 140. You can't double body. Like, this is trouble. So don't use that weapon in PvP. If you disagree, feel free to disagree in the comment section below. But we'll move on to the next weapon. All right, we're going to the Bite of the Fox, the Iron Banner Sniper. Now, this one I have a little bit of mixed opinions, okay? Because on paper, the Bite of the Fox sounds absolutely amazing. All right, it's the high impact, which is generally speaking the best impact for PvP, because if you hit a body shot, the person will be so weak that you'll be able to finish them off with pretty much any weapon. 72 RPMs tend to be the best. You've got 72s, 90s, and 140s, kind of just the three archetypes. And the roll it can get on it is amazing. Probably the best roll for snipers right now is snapshot and opening shot. That just gives it crazy bullet magnetism and a lot of ease of use. So it's a 72 with that amazing roll. And if that to sweeten the deal a little bit more for Bite of the Fox, it's a 43 zoom. So the zoom is actually extremely low, one of the lowest zooms out there, especially for these high impacts. And so it's just like, I want to rank this thing so high, but when you actually scope in and look at it, it has like this weird squiggly line. It's kind of rough to rank this in the S tier, but I am going to put this in the A tier because on paper this is arguably one of the best high impact snipers in the game, and is definitely a strong sniper if you can get the right roll. You can disagree with me if you want in the comments down below, but that weapon is definitely good with the right roll, and I've used it before. I've used that snapshot opening shot roll. That thing is actually really beast. Next up, we're going to talk about the exotic sniper, Borealis. So the Borealis is can change different affinities. It can be solar, arc, void. Doesn't really matter a whole lot. It does have this like added perk to it that if you break a combatant's shield when they're in their super with the same damage type. So for example, if someone was in a hammer and you sniped the hammer in the head, it's a high impact, it would kill him. And if you were on the solar affinity of the Borealis, now you get a damage boost. Unfortunately, when you get that damage boost, it's not enough of a boost to go around and body shot people. So I tested it out today, and the Borealis can't just body shot people. But it definitely has some cool perks to it, and the Borealis has amazing stats overall and has a 45 zoom on a high impact. So it's actually really good inside PvP. It's very hard to rank this thing any higher than A tier, though, in my opinion. I am going to put it in the A tier category, and we will move on to the next one. Borealis, pretty good. Next one up in alphabetical order is actually the Cloud Strike. So Cloud Strike is a 140 RPM, and obviously you know what happens when you get a headshot with the Cloud Strike. It's nasty, right? Really strong. The handling isn't the best on it. Obviously, it's not a weapon that comes with snapshot, but because of the collateral damage that comes with Cloud Strike, I'm gonna have to put this weapon. Either it's almost like I want to put it in between S and A tier because this isn't really a good like PvP sniper, but I mean because of the added effect and of all those collaterals, I almost have to put this in S tier. I almost just want to put it right here in the middle. So maybe I'll just stick it right here in between, and I'll decide later if I want to change that or not. So it's right in between the two. All right, that's the first time I've ever done that before. So hopefully that doesn't count as cheating. Very strong sniper though. Next up, we're going to have the Distant Tumulus. So this is a 140 RPM, and this weapon does roll with Snapshot. Let me pull this over here. All right, the Distant Tumulus Sniper. You don't really see this thing too often because it's that 140. So you have to hit a shot because a body shot isn't going to be very strong. You have to hit double bodies. You could get like Snapshot, and then in the other perk column, there's really nothing that's that exciting for PvP. You've got Dragonfly, Clown Cartridge, Lead from Gold, Pulse Monitor, and Genesis. So really nothing too impressive for the Distant Tumulus, but it does have Snapshot, so I'm not going to put it all the way down in the D tier category. I'll put it just above the D tier because these 140s are, you know, they have some attributes that are good to them, but they're definitely not the best overall currently in PvP. And one downside of the Distant Tumulus is that it actually has a 45 zoom, whereas a lot of these other 140 RPMs actually have a 40 zoom, so it actually has a little bit of a higher zoom. So it almost does belong in the D tier, but I'll leave it in the C tier for now because it does have Snapshot, which I'll give some respect to the sniper if it has Snapshot and low zoom, decently low zoom. Next up, we're going to talk about the Eye of Soul, the Trial Sniper. Now, this is in the kinetic slot. This is a 90 RPM. I've used this thing a bunch. This thing is actually beast. Whether you have the regular version or the Adept version, this thing is super strong. This thing definitely belongs in the S tier category, the Eye of Soul. Use this thing in Crucible if you haven't already. Super, super strong. You can get, on the old rolls, you could get Snapshot Opening Shot, which is the roll I have. But now, you can't get that anymore, so you're probably looking more for like Snapshot No Distractions, or maybe even Snapshot Killing Wind. Personally, I think Snapshot No Distractions is the god roll. That's going to feel really, really nice, really, really strong inside the Crucible right now. And now we're going to move on to the next sniper, which is the Far Future, which is a really sad sniper to talk about. It just came out like last season, I believe. And it did have Quick Draw Opening Shot roll, which was amazing, especially because Quick Draw gave you Snapshot effect. But now, because that's gone, the sniper is absolutely trash now, unfortunately. Now the Far Future is going to be, it's a 45 zoom, okay? 90 RPM with 45 zoom. So respectable zoom, not too bad. But without Snapshot, this thing plummets in position. Plummets in its viability within PvP. And I almost have to put this weapon all the way down to D tier. I mean, it's borderline D tier. It does have Opening Shot on it. It is the 90 RPM, so it's tough. But I am gonna unfortunately put this all the way in the D tier category. It's crazy though, because literally, if before they nerfed Quick Draw, this weapon would be easily in A or B tier. But that's how much these nerfs and changes that Bungie does, how much it changes these god rolls and these weapons inside PvP. Speaking of another god tier weapon right here, though, we've got the Frozen Orbit. This is one that you acquire from playing Crucible games. This thing is nasty, nasty. This is easily the best high impact that you can get in terms of legendaries. Very, very strong. Putting this bad boy in S tier for sure, and I'll talk a little bit more about it in just a second. So, Frozen Orbit's roll, best roll you're going to possibly get is going to be, again, that No Distractions and Snapshot roll. It's a high impact, so if you do hit a body, you can easily swap to another weapon, finish them off. It doesn't have the biggest magazine, of course, but I think that's where they sort of balance it out a little bit. And it does have a bunch of crazy other perks they can get on it, so you can have a bunch of other cool rolls, but obviously, at the very least, you're going to need Snapshot on this. And easily one of the best weapons for Crucible, and the fact that you get it from the Crucible is always really cool. It's a cool nod. Like, basically, only people that grind the Crucible a ton are going to have this crazy sniper if they ever get this roll. And if you do have this roll, I'm definitely salty at you. And this can also roll a really good PV roll. I'll just throw it out there that it can roll triple tab and Vorpal, which is pretty crazy, but that's for another video. Next up, we're going to talk about the Ikelos Sniper. Now, this is a 140 RPM. Again, that unfortunately cannot roll Snapshot. So without it being able to roll Snapshot, I can't give any respect to this weapon, unfortunately. Now we're going to have to put this bad boy all the way down in the D tier. You got to be able to ADS fast as a sniper. You don't want to be slow ADSing and then getting blasted by hand cannons and auto rifles and everything. And yeah, there's a little bit of mechanics where flinch sometimes gives you free headshots, but that's really not the ideal way of starting a sniper engagement. You know, you want to ADS really fast. You want to peek those long lanes and start, you know, clicking your aim or getting your cursor set right on where their head is and land those headshots or those body shots if necessary, right? and that's why you need snapshot. So unfortunately, Icarus Sniper does not have snapshot, and that bad boy is going all the way down the D tier. It did have quick draw though. Again, just want to point that out. It did have quick draw, and so it would have been like a B tier weapon before the quick draw nerf. Izanagi's Burden is up next, and this one is a very tough one to rank. Okay, this thing does not have the best handling, but the ability to body shot people is definitely pretty crazy. It's a 90 RPM. It's got 45 zoom, so it's definitely got respectable zoom. Sort of the middle fire RPM rate, and it's pretty good overall. I have seen some people rock this a little bit here and there. Obviously, body shotting people is going to be strong, so I will put this in the A tier. Unfortunately, it's not particularly the best play style to get a bunch of special ammo and then body shot people, but in terms of PvP effectiveness and meta, which is what I want to make this list for, this is extremely effective. So I will put this all the way in the A tier. And next up, we're going to go with the Long Shadow Sniper. Now, the Long Shadow Sniper is one that's actually pretty interesting. So it shows up on the API as being a 40 zoom. However, the scopes that it has with it actually add zoom to it. Unfortunately, the lowest zoom that it can get is 50 at the absolute minimum, which is not the best for 90 RPM. So we've already talked about the Adored is clearly a much better contender for this. It does roll with Snapshot and Outlaw, which would be good for mouse and keyboard, or Snapshot and Moving Target, which would be amazing for controller. But with that, and then with that added zoom, one thing to keep in mind too is that if you have more zoom, you're going to have more aim assist. So sometimes that can actually be a good trade-off. And the Long Shadow is actually not half bad in regards for that. But I will put the Long Shadow all the way in the B tier because I don't think that overall this is going to be the go-to sniper for PvP. There are some great roles for it though. And if you're a controller sniper out there and you get like a Snapshot Moving Target roll of that, don't be afraid to use that bad boy. It's actually pretty strong. I will put it in the B tier though, because of its added zoom and doesn't necessarily have the best perk slots overall for mouse and keyboard. If it had like Snapshot Opening Shot, then as a roll perk as well, that would be even better. But it is what it is, and that's where I'm going to rank that one. Next up, we've got Occluded Finality. Now, this Iron Banner Sniper is very tough to rank because it does have some amazing rolls on it, okay? It's got Snapshot Opening Shot, right? That's the best perk combination, more or less. You could also get Snapshot No Distractions on other snipers. On this one, you can't, but on other snipers, that could be another really good combination. It's a 72 RPM, so it hits the hardest to the body. Really, really strong inside PvP right now. The only problem, the only downside with this is one of the biggest problems, which is that it has a 58 zoom. This has the highest zoom of any sniper in the game right now. This has the highest zoom of any sniper. I think there's one that has a little bit higher, which is Cloud Strike, which has 60. But that aside, the highest of any legendary sniper. This is crazy. So it's like looking through a telescope, right? It's not what you want to be doing, right? It's not what you want to be doing when you're playing in PvP. And so we're actually going to put the Occluded Finality. We're going to put this bad boy all the way down in either C tier or D tier. I mean, I'm going to put it in C tier for now, but damn, that thing is dirty. You don't want that zoom. I'll put it in C tier though, because the rolls that it can get are really, really strong. Next up, we've got the Omniscient Eye. Now, as much as I don't like 140s, or as much as even if I don't like them, rather, I love this weapon. And I want to rank this as high as I can because I've actually used this weapon a ton. You saw my 1v3 videos back in the day. This was my go-to, my baby. And this thing is a beast. I'm not gonna lie, this thing is a beast, but it is a 140. And back in the day, they would do to the body. Not anymore. So now you can get Snapshot Outlaw on it. You can get Snapshot Mulligan. You can get Snapshot No Distractions. Great rolls on this weapon. Easily one of the best 140s if you're gonna rock a 140. Unfortunately, though, you can't rank the 140s especially high. It does have like really high like aim assist on it though. It's got like 72 aim assist and 40 zoom, so it's got like really good overall stats. I am going to rank this one as like the highest 140 RPM in the B tier category, and you can hate me if you want, but that's where I'm going to put that weapon. I think that's a dope weapon, especially if you get the right roll. That thing is a beast. I've used that thing so much inside PvP. I know a lot of people would probably put it more in the C tier category, but from my experience, I actually think that deserves to go in the B tier. That's the highest I could possibly rank it though, because of that body shot damage is so weak on those weapons. Next up, we've got the Praetus Revenge. The Vault of Glass sniper returned, reprised back to us. And this sniper, unfortunately, does not roll with Snapshot, which hurts. It does have Quick Draw on it though, which means it would have been really good, or respectably good in PvP, but with its current roll is really, really, really bad. So unfortunately, it's a 140, no snapshot. We have to put the Praetus all the way down in the D tier. It just got brought to us for prized. Feels very, very bad, unfortunately. That's where the Praetus goes. And then next up, we've got the Succession. So we've got the Deepstone Crypt Sniper now. I have a roll of this that's amazing. Absolutely amazing. The sight on it is a bit weird. We've got 50 zoom, so a little bit of higher zoom. And I got Snapshot, and I believe, yeah, I have Snapshot, no distractions roll on mine. You could also get Snapshot, Killing Wind. This thing is actually pretty good. It's hard to the body, so it's got 72. The zoom is 50, so it's not the worst zoom ever, but it's, you know, these high impacts, they tend to give them a little more zoom. That's how they're balancing it out. The lowest impacts have the lowest zoom. The highest impacts have the highest zoom, generally speaking. And yeah, I am actually going to put this weapon, rank this weapon pretty high because it's not bad. And I'm going to put it all the way up in the A tier category for PvP. It's got Snapshot, check. That's one of the big checks. It's got respectable zoom, not the best, but respectable zoom for the high impact. And it is a high impact, so it's got all the 3 check boxes. It's very good. The only downside to using this weapon, the reason why I don't put it in the S tier, is because its scope's really kind of weird. It's like this weird, like, little circle with a bunch of little gears on it, and I don't particularly like it, but it's actually not a bad weapon. You could almost argue for that to be in the S tier. It is a very strong weapon in a lot of ways. So next up, we're going to talk about the Supremacy Sniper. This is one that you get from doing the Last Wish raid, and this thing is actually pretty cool. I have a roll with this thing that I've used quite a bit. It can get Snapshot on it, so you got that. That's a check in the good box. It's got 140 RPM, so that's a check in the bad box. But it does have rapid hit or even kill clip on it, so if you do get kill clip procced, then obviously you can start 2-botting people with a 140, which is going to be like pretty crazy BTK. Not that you would want to really be running around doing that, but the fact that you can do that is kind of cool. And it's kind of hard to argue that it goes in the B tier. It either goes in the B tier or the C tier. It really just kind of comes down to whether or not you would compare it to the Omniscient Eye Sniper. So in terms of zoom, the Omniscient Eye has 40 and the Supremacy has 40. So very, very comparable in terms of zoom. In terms of perks they can roll on it, I mean, the perks just aren't quite as good. So I'm actually going to put this down in the C tier. Unfortunately, not quite as good as that Omniscient Eye from the Garden Raid. So here we go. Next up, we've got the Uzumi RR4, a sniper that was just brought to us this season. Right, the Uzumi RR4 is a 90 RPM, which is that middle of the road RPM. It does have Snapshot, which is pretty sick. You can roll other perks that are respectable, but really not that crazy. I mean, you've got Explosive Payload, Vorpal, High Impact Reserves, Adrenaline Junkie, Demolitionist, and Dragonfly. So really not the best perks overall. And it does have a 50 zoom, which is pretty high for the 90 RPM. So I am actually going to have to put this either in the B tier or the C tier category. It definitely doesn't fit, especially when you have a weapon like Adored that has like a 45 zoom with Snapshot and just better overall perks. This weapon is going to have to go I'll probably put this in the C tier category, not because of the perks that it has on it, but mostly just because there's weapons like Adored and Eye of Soul that just completely outclass this 90 RPM sniper. And I can't really rank it much higher. Those weapons are just so good that it makes this weapon look so bad, which is an often thing that we have inside the game. Next up, we have the last sniper that we're going to rank, which is going to be the Widow's Bite sniper. Okay, Widow's Bite is a 140 RPM, so it's got the bad RPM effectively for PvP, and it has no Snapshot. It does have Quick Draw though. So no Snapshot and a 140. You already know where this bad boy's going. You're going all the way down to the bottom. Feels bad, Widow's Bite. Unfortunately, that's where you go. So that is it. That is all of the weapons. Now, before I finish this off, I will rank these a little bit and make sure that I agree with everything. So we've got the Adored here, which is obviously, you know, we've got 45 zoom, 90 RPM, Snapshot. I mean, Killing Wind, such a great roll right there. Eye of Soul obviously has to be there. I mean, Snapshot opening shot, 90 RPM, so strong. Cloud Strike is kind of the in-between. I'll leave Cloud Strike there for now. I do think the Cloud Strike is really, really strong. Obviously, you've seen clips where Cloud Strike gets like 4 or 5 kills. Cloud Strike is not really the optimal weapon for, you know, sniping though, and will definitely, you know, the bad handling will throw you off quite a bit. But if you hit those headshots, it's obviously has a perk on it with explosions that you just can't even compare. You have to put it really high because of that. But I can't quite put it in S tier. And then we got the Frozen Orbit, which is obviously an S tier sniper. I mean, this thing is crazy snapshot. No distractions, 72 RPM. Definitely belongs there. By the Fox. Very strong sniper, just has those weird sights. Borealis, a very strong sniper, but just doesn't have snapshot. And the Iznag's Burden, obviously, body shot sniper like crazy. Succession, oh, Succession is really good. Just a little bit of weird sights I would put in S tier. And we've got the Shadow, what is this? Long Shadow, yes, 90 RPM. Does have some really good rolls on it, but a little bit higher zoom. Actually, no, yeah, it had 50 zoom at minimum, so not quite as good as these 90s up here. Unfortunately, so we'll have to keep that there. The Omniscient Eye, my baby. I love this thing, so good. I'll definitely keep that in the B tier. Distant Tumulus here. 140, one of the better 140s, but obviously 140s have to be down here in the C tier. The Occluded Finality, which is just way too much zoom. Supremacy, which is a 140. Does have some pretty good rolls, though. I mean, it kind of hurts to have to rank it so low. I would almost put Supremacy up a little bit higher, but I'll leave it there for now because I really think the Omniscient Eye has an edge over it. So it feels bad, but yeah, I'm going to leave it there. And then we got the Izumi RR4. Again, you're just really outclassed by the other 90 RPMs, so I have to keep it down there. The Apostate, you know, no snapshot. I think all of the weapons down here are just no snapshot weapons. If a weapon doesn't have snapshot, you're not really rocking that in PvP, especially with the quick draw nerf. So all of these weapons without snapshot definitely belong down here, unfortunately. But let me know if you agree with my opinions in the comment section below. And if you did enjoy this video, make sure to smash the like button. Make sure to subscribe with notifications on. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Later.